Okay, 3 reasons why your locks may be slimming or also known as getting skinnier. Alright, welcome back guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for being here, because I know you don't have to. And ultimately, thank you so much for gracing your presence here on my channel. I truly appreciate you stopping by and choosing me as your entertainment for today. So let's get into it. I have some notes here. And the reason why I chose to do this video is because my last video, my 4-month update, which I'll link up above, basically you saw that some of my locks were slimming or very skinny down the shaft of the lock. But it wasn't, only thing was it wasn't skinny at the root. So I knew my hair was healthy, but I just didn't like the look of it. I don't retwist every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. I usually retie every month, once a month. So it gives about 4 to 5 weeks in between a retie time to actually do my hair again. But it's mainly what you're doing in between that retie. Now a lot of times your locks can be slimming because you are palm rolling, because you're retying too often, or you're manipulating your hair a lot. So these are just 3 basic reasons that I found that my hair has slimmed because of. Okay, so the first reason is hats. So during my 3-month, well, really my 4-month, I've been wearing a lot of hats, whether it's beanies, visors, regular hats. I've just been wearing a lot of hats because I'm uncomfortable with the way my hair was looking. I was uncomfortable with the way my hair was looking. It was, to me, it was just short, it was sticking up in places, it was slimming in other places, and I didn't understand what was going on. And a part of understanding your hair is taking the time out to not just to not neglect it, but to pay attention to it, and not overly doing it, you know, but just monitoring it to make sure that your hair is okay. Your hair is your personal plant, as I'm sure you've heard many people say before, so it's good that you take care of it, and covering it up too much compresses the hair shaft together, and it ends up making the locks smaller. So like I said, I was wearing the hats nonchalant, thinking that, hey, if I cover them up, this is a style. I really don't want to show my hair that much because my hair is very fragile at this point. It's sensitive. It's kind of sensitive to the air, to the environment, to people. So I didn't want to really show them that often, but not showing them as often caused my lock to get slim down the shaft of the lock. Again, my hair was still healthy in a sense because it wasn't skinny at the root. But the more you practice these unhealthy traits and habits, of course your locks over time will get slimming at the root. If you're not wearing hats, sometimes scarves, wearing too many scarves too tightly can damage your locks by having them become slimmer at the root and down the shaft of the lock, because again, your hair cannot breathe. Your hair doesn't have any type of H2O coming in, so it's basically condensing the lock every time you put on that scarf, or for me it was a hat. Second thing that caused my locks to become slimmer was headbands. This goes along with head wraps, like I mentioned 30 seconds before. But it goes along with what I was talking about, because headbands, when you push your hair back, you're restricting the new growth to sprout. So you're pushing it further back, which is also damaging your hairline, which you can see thinning at the roots, thinning around the perimeter of your hair, and stuff like that. So you want to be careful when you're doing these different type of styles and knowing not to do them too often, okay? Because doing it too often, too much of a good thing is never a good thing at all, right? So it may look good, but over time your hair is not going to look good, okay? Your hair is going to be slim, your hair is going to get really skinny, and it could possibly break off, okay? So you don't want that, of course. So be careful when you're wearing the hats, when you're doing the scarves, when you're doing the head wraps, and even for me, it was headbands. So it's more like you have to enjoy the process of what your hair is doing and not manipulate it too much. Of course, as you see, I have beads and lock jewelry on my hair, which sometimes can also cause lock thinning if your hair is not ready for that, if your hair is not locked completely. But I felt in my lock journey that I was ready to have some sort of jewelry on my hair even 4 months in, because my hair is very thick, it's very dense, and it's locked pretty much. So but it's still in its immature stage because it still gets frizzy. I'm not really having too much of budding, but this is not an update. It's just to exemplify what I mean by how your locks can get slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. So you just want to be careful with styling. You want to be careful with how you style your hair, too much of it, how much of it you're doing, and how tightly you're doing the style, okay? So that's kind of an extra bonus one thrown in there. The next one and the very last one that I want to get into is squeezing your locks out after you wash your hair. Now for me, I wash my hair a lot. And, you know, up until my 4 months, I was squeezing my locks, wringing my locks out like a rag. Now, we know when we're washing dishes or when we're washing ourselves, we squeeze the rag out tightly, just so all that water and that soap can fall out of it. Well, imagine doing that to something fragile like as such as your hair. Doing so much of squeezing and turning is ripping those bonds out of your follicles. It's ripping and tearing your hair further and further apart, which can cause slimming down the shaft of the lock or even at the roots. It won't grow as full, it won't grow as healthy as you would expect. So when you wash your hair, I suggest that when you get out of the shower, shake it out, or get your cotton cloth or a t-shirt to kind of just pat, or, you know, air dry, or even stand out in the sun so it can dry that way. Now I know some of you guys are thinking, well, I wring it out so that I make sure the water is out, number one, and number two, I make sure that the soap and the oil and the products that I've used is out of my hair as well, so I don't cause lock buildup. Well, that is very true, but another way you can decrease your lock buildup as you're washing your hair is to simply let the water run down the shafts of your hair, the shafts of your lock, the length of your lock. Okay, squeezing it out is not doing your hair any justice. It's only thinning it at the roots and thinning it down the lock. To make sure your hair is really clean and rinsed, you're just gonna have to stay under there for a good little bit to make sure it's all out. That's the healthy and the proper way you should train your hair to act. Because, like I said, and I'll keep saying it, squeezing your lock is only ripping them apart. It's only tearing the bonds, the follicles, and it's causing everything to separate. Okay, and that's what you don't want. You want your locks to grow together. You want the dead hairs, the shed hairs, whatever you want to call them. You want everything to grow together, not apart. And you do that with healthy habits. So, that's really all I have for you guys today. I hope this somewhat helps. I know it's going to help me in the future with styling, with washing, with wrapping my hair. All of this is it's really gonna play into effect when you actually notice that your hair is doing the opposite of what you want it to do. I'm living proof. Like I said, I'll put my video up where you can see some thinning. Well, I don't want to say thinning, because when you think of thinning, you think of damage. But it was slimming down in a way that was going to cause damage in the future if I kept up these unhealthy habits. So I'll definitely put a video up here for you so you can see that. If you did like this video and you enjoyed these fun tips and these great facts that I hope will help, give this video a like. Share some other comments and tips down below in the comment section of what you know that has helped you to grow healthy and, you know, thick locks. You know, if it's I'm not going to say, I don't want to say thick because not everybody wants thick locks. So we're just going to use the term healthy. What did you do or what are you doing to grow healthy locks? List them down below because again, you never know who it could help and you never know who is watching to see them. Alright, don't forget to subscribe before you leave. Like I always say, if we're not helping each other grow, we're depleting our human race, guys. Show love, share love, and spread peace and light. Alright, guys. Peace.